Revolution Radio proudly presents live from Phoenix, Arizona, the Truth Denied Talk Radio with host Roxy Lopez. Join us here for topics you won't hear about on mainstream news, such as chemtrails, GMOs, nutrition, and conspiracy facts regarding your personal sovereignty. Humanity is 7 billion strong. We are the majority. And now, live from the Valley of the Sun, your host, Roxy Lopez.
And I wish you a very good evening. Thanks for joining us. Today is Tuesday, April 2nd, and welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us in the chat room. And please be sure to ask your questions of our guest today. She'll be spending 2 hours with us going over quite a few topics. One that I will bring up and give you a little bit of the background on the story so that you'll know what she's talking about when she explains more of the story for all of you. And of course, you all know that our guest is Sonja Grace, and I'll give you a little bit of background for any newcomer tonight that is not unfamiliar. We're bringing Sonja back this evening. She was on the show about a month and a half ago because there's some very important new insight that she has on quite a few world events and really needed to bring it forward. I must say, Sonja is amazing because she called me to talk about one of the events that we're going to be discussing this evening, and she already knew what was going on long before the news reported it, and that just blew my mind. So she's going to be sharing a lot this evening, so kick back, grab your cup of tea, and maybe even a notebook if you could, and get to know Sonja tonight. Before we get started with the show, and before I invite her onto the show, I wanted to let you all know a wonderful news that's happening. Revolution Radio has asked me to now join the team on Friday nights as a host. So April 12th will be my debut night. That's a Friday evening in the same prime time slot, 8 to 10, same as now. And so we will now be on the air twice a week. So thank you very much, Hawk, for offering this to us. And we're glad to oblige. We have that are going to be coming up in the next couple of months. We're just booked solid. And, I'll give you a couple of guests that are going to be coming up on next Tuesday. We're going to have Sean Gautreaux and Jim Kerr. They're going to be talking about the cloaked crafts in our skies. Both of them are researchers, have a lot of footage, and when we speak of cloaked crafts, we don't just mean ETs. I mean, these guys have really done their homework in relationship to HAARP, chemtrails, and, of course, objects that are being tested right above us day in and day out. So they'll be coming on the 9th, which is next Tuesday. And then, of course, for the debut on the 12th, we're going to be welcoming Mr. Paul Mack, and he's from Australia, another chemtrail activist with extremely important evidence, and it really has a good take on it and what they are doing to inspire awareness in Australia. So he'll be joining us on the 12th. And then on the 16th, we have Brad Olson, who's going to be new to the show. By the way, so is Paul Mack and so is Jim Kerr. And he's going to be discussing, Brad Olson will be discussing the New World Order and the future esoteric. The following week, we will welcome back George McClure. He has a lot of information for us, again, on New World Order and a lot of exposure. He's a very well-read author as well. And so we're going to really welcome George back. I was so grateful that he actually had the time to book the show a month ago. On the 30th, we're going to bring back James Gilliland from ESETI. He came on the show last time, and we had some technical difficulties, and we also had Wilbur Allen on the show as well, talking about the UFOs and the archons. And James just really didn't get to finish what he needed to tell the public and share with all of you. So we have invited him back. We booked the show that night, and just moved everyone over for James. So he'll be back for the whole 2 hours, and he'll be answering all of your questions. On the 19th, we have a special show with Dr. Will Spencer. We're going to be talking about dentistry. Did you know that over 85% of the people in our country have periodontal disease? And this is something that is really a shameful thing to talk about. Don't talk about it amongst themselves. You won't see people talking about it on Facebook. You won't see people going to the dentist to do something about it because of the expense. And we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about an alternative way to deal with, get this, even loose and falling teeth that are ready to fall out. We are going to speak with Will Spencer. We're going to cover the gamut. I've done extensive research on the subject myself. There is so much information that you need to know. So that's for it for now. I don't think you can keep this all in your head. If you really need to take a look at the upcoming guests, just go to thetruthDenied.com and hit the schedule page, and all of our guest informations and links to their websites and photos of them and their work is all located on the schedule page. So go take a look at that and bookmark a couple of them if you are really interested in the show. Now, with all of that in mind, I want to give you all a little bit of background on the story that we're going to be discussing tonight with Sonja Grace. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about Sonja. Sonja is internationally renowned author and mystic healer, people. She is known all over the world, and she's been offering her clients immediate stability. And what does that mean? It means when you have an issue and you call Sonja or you get in touch with her, she immediately stabilizes the situation for you and helps you, aids you, assists you in getting your balance back and whatever else you need. This is fabulous. It's fantastic work that she does. So immediate stability, clarity, and guidance that she has been offering people for over 30 years. She really knows what she's doing. One of the few that I trust, and I can say that. I've met many psychics, many mystics, many healers, and she is far, a handful. She's one of the handful that I've come across in my life that is the real deal. So Sonja has a wide variety of talent as well. She to choose from, in which she accesses her ability to channel and communicate with the divine. She sees and receives messages from loved ones who have crossed over and offers a venue for healing in this world and the spirit world. Sonja works in the healing realm, helping clients to identify where the discomfort is in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual body. And that's important stuff. She provides medical scans and defies time and space with her cellular healing work. Okay? Sonja's able to execute all levels of her work from a distance and over the phone. So she's a long distance healer, and that's amazing for those of you who do not live anywhere near Sonja Grace. That's something that you should all think about. Sonja is able to execute all levels of her work via phone. Okay. Her ability to read and clear the karmic threads to past lives helps clients heal lifetimes of patterns. And as you all know, we all get stuck in patterns. I do, you do, even Sonja does. But what do we do about it? We identify those patterns and clear them. And those are just roads to freedom, in my opinion. Two-time author of Angels in the 21st Century, and her latest book, Earthways Healing Medicine for the Soul, provides a pathway to the 4 seasons through prayer and ceremony, and is companion to the film presentation Earthways series. She is linked up on thetruthDenied.com, or if you're interested in seeing her right now, she is in the chat room. Her website's in the chat room, and that's Sonja Grace, spelled Sonja, Grace.com. And without any further ado, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. Welcome to the show, Sonja.
Thank you, Roxy. It's great to be here.
Oh, when you called me, I was just, I am amazed. I am just amazed because you started to tell me a story about what was happening, and I said, where, why, how, what, and then you basically kicked it in, just for the audience sake, if I may. What we are referring to, one of the many topics that Sonja and I are going to be discussing tonight, there's a growing concern in Shanghai due to some now 60,000 pigs that were found in the Huangpu River, which is the source of tap water for the public there. Okay, so this is really dangerous stuff. As the public's concerns about water safety are growing, what has emerged is a picture of a rural region marred by catastrophic environmental damage, inherent malpractice, and black market meat trade. The first pigs were spotted on March 7th and were soon traced to the Jiaxing through tags in their ears. Early tests show they carry porcine circovirus, a common disease among hogs, not known to be infectious to humans. Shanghai's municipal water department maintains that the water meets the national standard, but hasn't said much more. And I think, no pun intended, that that's hogwash. Yeah. And then to go on, here it is. This upsurge is one explanation for the carcasses, though officials are reluctant to say so. All right. We have 7 dead pig processing plants. Each is 100 cubic meters large and can gather thousands of dead pigs. This is a toxic environment now, with the mortality rate of 2 to 4%, up to 300,000 carcasses need to be disposed of each year. Okay. And now we've got these pigs floating in the main river, in Huangpu River, which is the drinking water for millions of people. So you see, every government seems to be so much alike. The denial. While farmers are required by law to send animals that die of disease or natural causes to processing pits, black market dealers intercept the chain, butchering the hogs to sell as pork. Last November, a Jiaxing court sentenced 3 such butchers to life in prison. The offenders had processed 77,000 carcasses, making almost $9 million profit. $9 million profit. But the point I'm trying to make is that this story has become so incredibly convoluted already, because you've got the black market guys that are selling pork that is sick to the public and to the butchers, and you've got, as they say, 300 carcasses that need to be disposed of yearly, and then you have this other 16,000 pigs that are floating in the water. By the way, that number is going up every day. And you have those who are in charge in the city going and picking up the carcasses, but then you have the black market people picking up the carcasses that are floating dead for days in these rivers. It's unbelievable. Sonja, what's going on over there? What's the real deal?
Well, first I really would like to say, Roxy, that I so appreciated the opportunity to come on and talk about this with you, and for you having me on your show the first time back in January. And, a really big shout out to all the people in Canada who have called me, and all of the people that have called me from your show from around the world. It seems like there were a lot of people who called me from Canada, so I'm saying a special hello to them. And I really would love to preface to everyone that, as a mystic healer, I work with guides. My guides are high angelic beings that I communicate with. And I really do consider the communication that I receive from divine. I mean, I work only with angels and with Creator, what I call God, the goddess. That's what I work with. So that's where my information's coming from. And when I asked my guides, what is going on? with all the pigs in China, the first word I heard was genocide. And then I freaked out and I called Roxy. So,
and then I freaked out.
And then she freaked out. So anyways, what my guides have been talking about with this whole thing that's happening in China is these pigs are being dumped into the river because basically my understanding, again, through my guides, is that there really is no regulation. There's no, someone coming along to each farmer and saying, oh, you can't dump those pigs. It's sort of like everybody turns a blind eye and the pigs get dumped in the river. And furthermore, there is no connection for these people to this drinking water being tainted. And where the word genocide comes in is where people will inevitably get sick from this water. And that this is sort of a blind man's genocide. It's like they're creating genocide for their people, but nobody really cares. And there is a population problem, as we all know, around the world. And I think that the few people in government positions probably are looking the other way. The one thing that came up that's so interesting is at the beginning of the year, I always do predictions. And one of the predictions I made was a deadly disease was going to come out of China, and it was going to be an incurable type of disease that could, end up going worldwide. And I read today that there is a new strain. It's the H7N9 virus that is a bird flu virus that's new to humans that is in China. And guess what? 2 men died in Shanghai, right near the river that we're talking about, of this bird flu. And the only thing that really ties all of this together for me is that my guide said that these pigs have a virus. It's an incurable virus. I know, Roxy, you just read that article about what they said the pigs have. I believe maybe we're not getting the whole truth, huh? Funny thing. And that this is truly a virus that these pigs have that is just running rampant, and they don't have a cure for it because they've also found 1,000, and the number may be higher now, but when I read it last, it was 1,000 ducks that were dumped in another river. Well, ducks are birds. And, to have these two large groups of animals floating in rivers is not going to be helpful to humanity and really to the environment. And China is so incredibly polluted right now. There is so much toxicity there that I feel so bad for the people. I feel really bad for the people there.
I do too, and thanks for that, Sonja. It's interesting because, like I said, this story is becoming so convoluted. The first news on the pigs showing up in the river was sort of everyone was wondering, in China, this is how they, how the stories came out, wondering how did those pigs get there, and they must have slipped and fallen into this river, and so forth. And then when you start doing the history, as you were saying, first of all, there is so much wrong with this picture. Even if they're dumping all of these pigs because the pigs are sick, it's such a disrespect for life and disrespect for food, and disrespect to people and the pigs and anything else that's getting hurt by this. It's all just one big manifestation of insanity. I mean, it's just that really it's insanity. And as far as the pollution goes, and as far as what you were saying, this H7N9, is that what you said?
Yes, it's H7N9 virus.
Okay. Mm-hmm. As far as that virus goes, a new strain, we wonder, I do have to wonder how we're getting so many new strains of these bird flu. I mean, if you read these stories, you don't have to wonder anymore, do you?
No, you don't. And what I really found interesting is, of course, what my guides were telling me, which was this is a virus and there is no cure for it. And then, before you and I were to talk today, I went online and said, just put in breaking news, virus in China. And there it was. 3 people have died, 2 in Shanghai, and there's a couple of other people that are sick with it somewhere else in China. So they're, of course, the article says, everybody's upset and they're looking into this. But, I'm reading it going, wait a minute, we have all of these pigs in the river and these ducks and, there's something else going on here and we're not getting, obviously, the whole story. So I do believe that, out of this country of toxicity and incredible pollution, we are probably going to see some pretty horrific things. And I don't wish anything ill upon the Chinese people. I hope that they can clean it up and have healthy lives. But I have to tell you, it's very scary to watch this go on and to feel like, I read in one article that these poor people were tweeting on their version of Twitter over there, to each other, what is this, what's going on, and very frightened about it and unable to do anything about it because, their government doesn't really allow them to maybe take quite the action that we can here.
Right. And what's so similar for us to watch this unfold here in our own country, you just said it, here are the people of China tweeting and asking what the heck's going on. But in our own country, when things like this or, environmental disasters occur, we're in the same boat as they are, literally. It seems like globally, we're all being sort of, I don't know, everything's a secret these days. And so no matter, we could be, look at the Mississippi, look at the Gulf of Mexico. People who lived right there saw the oil spill right in front of their eyes, saw the oil pouring up on the beach, saw it with their own eyes, were being told, no, there's nothing here. We're fine. I mean, they were pouring new sand onto the beaches so that they could continue to get the traffic of the, of the visitors and the hotels filled up and, the travelers, et cetera. So literally people were filming these big trucks, sand trucks coming in at night and dumping fresh sand over the oil that had come up onto the beach. And then they even showed photos of kids in the water, and when they get out of the water, they like, oil all over them, like stuck to them. And they still tried to tell people, the tourists that, no, we're fine.
Right.
So it's what, this would be an interesting question. I love that you have the insight and the connection to your guides, to the angelic, to those in the divine that can tell you or give you divine inspiration, divine answers. Basically to assist others. I love that about you and your ability, and good for you. I mean, I'm really proud of you, Sonja, that you use, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
it takes a lot of courage. Takes you a lot of courage to be able to use that method, because many people don't understand it. But here's what I want to ask you. With the insight that you do have and do get guidance from your guides, what do you do with the information? What do we do with this now that we know the truth, that there is a genocide going on? And what does that mean? Are they trying to, in China,
right?
What does that mean? Are they trying to kill their people?
No, I don't think it's that. I think the word genocide, and I did kind of make reference to this a few minutes ago. The word genocide is something that the guide said in an understanding, a spiritual understanding of what is happening. These pigs, these ducks, God knows what else is getting dumped into this river. And it is a form of genocide. It's not a conscious, we're going to actually create genocide in China. It's not that kind of conscious choice. It is simply the action of what's happening. It's creating genocide. Okay. And I really appreciate what you just said. My work is not easy. There's a lot of people who look at me and go, "Oh, I wish I could do what you do, and I wish I had your life." And, they don't know what they're saying because, the stuff that I do and the stuff that I work on and the entities and the aliens and all the stuff that I'm clearing off of people is not a picnic. And it takes a tremendous amount of dedication. I mean, there is not a day in my life that I don't wake up and dedicate my life in service to God. I mean, I am totally walking a path that is not my life. It has nothing to do with Sonja. It is about me being in service. And so with that said, I have a big responsibility to be the mystic healer that I am, and to be in service to people, to humanity, to the earth. And my big plight is this planet.
And thanks. Sorry we had to scoot out of there. It looked like a minute early, but maybe our clocks are off again. But we'll make it through. We always do. It's like, hey, wait. So don't worry, Sonja. If that happens, we'll just scoot on out of here. Speaking of the truth denied, and of course, Revolution Radio is all about the truth. What is the truth for you, and how important is it for you, Sonja?
Well, to me, there are many levels of truth, right? You can talk to someone who is from Oklahoma, and they're going to share with you their truth about what they're experiencing in Oklahoma. And you can talk to someone in Canada, and they're going to share a different truth, maybe about the same subject, but it's a little bit different because they've experienced it with a little different twist on it up in Canada. And then someone in California might have yet another truth because it is a little bit different there. So to me, the truth is something about what we experience through all the filters and layers that we have, the templates that we've learned as we've grown up as souls in bodies on the earth, our cultural stuff, our religious stuff, all of these different layers. And we see and experience the truth through those layers. And then we, go into a courtroom and watch a judge slam the gavel down and say, the truth, nothing but the truth. So help you God. And I agree. But at the same time, being the spiritual person that I am, I see many truths. I see, both sides of the coin, where this group says, no, this is our truth and we're fighting for this. And another group says, but that's wrong and we believe in this. And they're quite, convicted to what they believe is the truth. Then we get into the duality and the right and the wrong and the good and the bad. And, we're all going to jump over into this boat and say, but this is right, and we're waving our flags, and somebody's jumping into the other boat and saying, no, you're wrong. This is wrong. And this is the constant division that we're watching right now, because the duality, which is sort of the experience, if you will, that we have in our universe. You experience the good and the bad and things that are hot and cold and right and wrong and light and dark. We're constantly in that duality. The trick, the key, the real aha moment is we need to step back and simply observe the duality, observe those different things that go on without engaging our energy into it, without jumping in to that boat and saying, oh, I got to fight for this, or jumping into that boat, I got to fight for that. And it doesn't mean not having passion about the things that you want to fight for. It simply means being able to step back and observe where there is more than one truth. And the ultimate truth, what I feel is like the divine God's truth. We get to that when we get into a higher state of consciousness, when we raise our frequencies, when we are really on that spiritual path and we are able to separate, to observe the duality. Then we drop into a whole different ballgame. But that takes time, and that takes people really being more, committed, dedicated to a spiritual path, to a more of a meditation practice, that they're learning how to quiet the mind and sit back and observe a little bit more and watch what their energy is doing. Because we are energetic beings. I mean, that's what we do, is we flow through life energetically, hooking up with things and being a vibrational match for different energies. You have issues of being abandoned as a child, and funny thing, you've been manifesting abandonment as an adult. Well, how come he left me? I don't know why he had to leave me. Well, how come that one left? That one just walked out. I don't know why he left. It's all a reenactment of those earlier childhood emotional woundings, and we've become a vibrational match for that wounding, because really ultimately the universe has orchestrated it so that we can heal. So you're going to manifest it again as an adult, so you have the opportunity to heal it. It's not that God and the universe is trying to make you crazy.
Although that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's that we're really supposed to be healing from this stuff. We're supposed to be healing our karmic baggage that we're carrying, because that abandonment issue is going back 3, 4, 10, 20 lifetimes, and it just keeps reverberating through lifetime after lifetime. So in explaining all of this, the truth, I see many truths. I experience a much deeper truth when I go into that deeper spiritual center of peace. Then I know a completely different truth. And it, like I said, it takes practice, and it takes dedication and time for people to really understand and know that place, because, we have too many layers. We have too much to contend with our personalities and our egos and all of the templates that we have been layered with.
Absolutely. There's a question from Anona. She's asking about duality. She said, even enlightened people are dualists.
Statement or a question?
I don't know. She says, I have a question about that. And then she makes the statement, even enlightened people are dualists. So maybe she forgot the question mark. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's okay. And I would be happy to comment on that. I'm sure that the Dalai Lama experiences that the room is too hot, and he might get a little agitated and say, can you turn the heat down? That is a part of experiencing the duality. Of course, people are going to be experiencing and engaging in that duality. The point that I'm making is, what are you doing with your energy in that experience? Are you engaging your energy in it? Are you plugging in, emotionally blowing up and saying, I'm so hot, turn the heat down? Or are you pulling your energy back and grounding and staying really centered about it and saying, wow, the room's really hot, maybe we could adjust the heat? There's two different vibes right there, way different. And that's what the whole, I hope I'm answering her statement question. That's what the whole duality thing is that we really learn to observe and to watch where our energy is going. Most people just engage their energy like crazy. I'm sure you guys have all walked down the street, and somebody, completely makes your head turn, and it's their second chakra energy is going out to everybody. And, they're just this person walking down the street, but everybody's turning to look at them because their energy is engaging with everyone else's energy. I don't believe in that being the best choice to make. I believe that we need to ground our second chakra energy, that we are much more powerful as empathic beings, as beings that are sensitive, and we're going to pick up on stuff. Because by grounding that energy, we're keeping our energy much more focused. It's going into the earth, and we're not getting into somebody else's stuff. We're not engaging it in someone else and suddenly taking on their pain and their stuff. We're keeping clear boundaries, and we're able to actually feel more because it's grounded.
That's excellent. Would you say also that when you work with people, Sonja,
Mm-hmm.
do you assist them with what their belief systems?
Sure.
Right?
Sure,
Help them
absolutely.
to, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a Hindu priest who's a client, and I love talking to him because I see Krishna and I see all of them in the room. And I work with him according to his belief systems. I have a deacon of the Catholic Church who calls me, and I, of course, work with him according to his belief systems. I've had people call me and say, I don't really believe in past lives, but can you help me with blah, blah, blah? And it's like, sure. I embrace all religions. I prescribe to none. I am a very highly spiritual being, and my connection, my belief is that I'm here as um, a receptacle. I receive energy, as everyone does, from above, from Creator, and I receive energy from the earth, from the bottom of my feet up. And when those two energies meet at my heart, that's the experience. That's the magic. That's the wow, that was a great moment. That's what's happening for people. And that's really what we're innately supposed to be doing, is bringing that energy down and that energy up through our feet, and having that magical engagement of those divine energies ignite at your heart. So my spiritual path is very much in dedication to God, to the guardians of the universe, to my guides, to the earth, and all of the planets. My gosh, they all have a being in them. Just because they're round and they look like a planet doesn't mean that that's not their body. We get so hung up in our world about, oh, well, there's body, so it can't possibly be a thing, or it can't be alive. Yeah, it can. Sure. Why did we ever decide that just because it doesn't look human, it's not alive or real?
Wow, that's a very interesting thought. Can you share with us? This is off the cuff here, but for instance, the body of Earth's moon. What do you pick up from that? Is that a body? By the way, because there's a lot of controversy about the moon.
You're right. I do believe it's a body, very much so, and that there is a being, a spirit in the moon. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the sun and Mars and Venus and Jupiter, all of them have, in my humble opinion, a spiritual being that is in them, that is a part of them.
And what would you say, just what you do know when you do relate to Earth's moon, what is the relationship? Because the moon comes up a lot in card reading and, oh my gosh, dreaming. The moon is responsible for our gravity and our oceans and our tides. And so when you come across somebody who you're having to involve perhaps the moon with, what would generally be the relationship with the moon?
I feel that the moon is our opportunity to see our reflection, to have that reflection given back to us, and the Earth's reflection given back. We can look in a pool of water and see ourselves reflected back to us. We can look up in the sky on a full moon and have a whole lot of energy reflected back to us. But that dark moon, that new moon, where there's a lot of really interesting things that go on because suddenly that reflection isn't there, is very powerful. That's a powerful moon. So is the full moon. But I feel that this moon that is outside of Earth, and is so important to all of us, reflect back to us that energy. Whenever, I don't know about you, Roxy, but whenever I look up the moon, I just feel nothing but elation. It's so beautiful and bright, and it's, illuminating the night sky, and I just feel nothing but love for the moon. And I feel that that's what's being reflected back to me. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah. And hopefully that gives everyone a little bit of something to think about in terms of what we're putting out there is truly what's coming back to us. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Do you work with people who have had alien abductions happen?
I have a lot, and a lot of people have been calling me recently that have missing time. They don't know what happened. They don't know, their last memory is a bright light or they saw something in the sky and then there's a huge chunk of time missing. And when I work with those people, not only do they go into, I talk them into basically a very deep state, and we go into a process with their inner child to help kind of uncover what's happened and what the child is reporting back to them. And it's very powerful. And a lot of things do get revealed. I've had numerous people who have called me with those types of experiences uncover what took place, that they actually were taken. They were taken on board a ship. There were some experiments done, whatever, there was all kinds of different scenarios that I've heard. And then, they end up back on Earth. I remove probes from people. And what I mean by this is that I can go in and take out on an energetic level a probe. And sometimes I find multiple probes in people, and they are, it's kind of profound actually what happens, because a lot of these people just experience a complete shift in their energy, like a total change. And I believe that because the beings who are doing these things, putting probes in or whatever, they're the energy of that probe, the energy of the material of the probe, whatever. It's like it is so it's so advanced, for one, and they're usually so teeny tiny, minuscule, that I'm able to get them out. And I feel that people don't realize sometimes that this is what they're walking around. They've got probes in them. I mean, it's crazy how much I have seen in people with this kind of activity.
And is it all over the world that people are experiencing these encounters with aliens?
Yeah, I believe so. And, where I'm noticing a lot of encounters is in Colorado. So a big shout out to people in Colorado. You guys are experiencing a lot of stuff. It's intense in Colorado. There's a lot of people who I talk to saying they've either seen UFOs or they've had actual, kind of alien encounters. One client who just repeatedly was going through visitations, and we actually in sessions were able to go back in her history and discover where her and her whole family were abducted when she was quite young, and none of them have memory of this. Another gal that she found that she had been abducted. My guide told her that her sister remembered a bright light from this particular time. I think she was like 6 or 7 years old. And she called her sister that night and asked her sister, do you remember a bright light when I was about 7 years old and we were on this such and such a road? And her sister just yes, she said, I remember that bright light. Didn't tell her anything about what I had said, nothing. She remembered the bright light. So, all of these people that I'm talking about have had, some form of confirmation or some kind of, awareness that this has happened to them. And I want to preface to people that not all alien encounters are a negative thing or a bad thing. And certainly Hollywood is, just scared the bejesus out of a lot of us with some of the movies that have come out. But I have seen all kinds of aliens, and I wanted to bring up a couple of different world kind of event things going on. But I feel that Earth is just an amazing planet. It is such a beautiful gem in our solar system and in our galaxy. And I believe that, we're like, we're the coach of the galaxy. We have all the Prada bags and everybody in the galaxy wants them. And so we've got a lot of visitation from a lot of different beings that are coming here to Earth. I've seen numerous different aliens. I have no idea who they are, what they're called. I've seen tons of different alien beings. And I believe it's because we are at a critical time with this planet. And my guides have said to me, the thing they said to me, Roxy, before you called, is they said, please tell everyone that there is still hope for this planet and that we need, I'm going to cry, we need to really get in there and make a difference. And I don't know if it's so much about making a difference with our, how do I say this? We all have awareness, right? All of your listeners are very aware people, and you guys all have the understanding that there's a lot of truth denied. There's a lot of people who don't know what's going on, at different levels of government and whatnot. We all have that. Now it's the time for all of us to put our shoes on and start taking action. Start really doing, instead of just talking about it, that we're all going to do something about it. Because this is, I believe, what my guides were really trying to say is it's not too late, but we really need to take action.
Well, and I can appreciate that as well, and I feel you, and I live the life that you're wishing that we all would live. And I get in that place too, where I just think to myself, we really can do this. And some people think I'm really nuts now because I believe in humanity like you do, Sonja.
Right.
And the idea that you have of, you had spoken to me on the phone, and I want to share it with the listeners. I didn't tell you I was going to share it with the listeners, but, I have to tell you people, Sonja, a couple of weeks ago on the phone with me, was sounding just like this. We both kind of got emotional. And she said that she's just about ready to pick up. You said this, Sonja.
Yes,
pick
I
up
did.
everything and start walking across the country, talking to people face to face. And I was like, wow. And you were dead serious. And I know that you're dead serious. And I have had those thoughts as well. With the listeners, and you are correct. They are very savvy, and they do what they can. Just by listening, passing the shows around, telling people, sharing with people, going to a dinner and talking about this not so fabulous stuff.
Right.
Not so popular stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
and I appreciate it. But I was going to say, what is another idea that you might have right at the moment, since your guides asked you to please let everybody know that there is hope, that we can do this? What are some of the, off the cuff, what are some of the things that people can do right now?
Well, one of the easiest things that we can all do that would shift a tremendous amount of energy and consciousness is to have faith. Roxy, we don't have faith. We have religions that talk a lot about faith. We have people who have, scientific evidence, but we really have, and I am not saying this in accordance to any religion. I am saying this really as a soul and a body on the earth, and I'm saying it to everyone else. We need to have some faith. We need to really remember that particle, that God particle that's inside all of us, we're hooked up. We are connected. There is no, I think I'm going to pursue a spiritual path. You are on a spiritual path. You are spiritual people. It's about us really waking up to our original consciousness, who we are as souls, and saying, okay, our purpose for being here on this planet, this beautiful earth that we were given this opportunity to be here, is to be the caretakers of this planet. So if it just means going outside and taking a walk around your neighborhood and picking up garbage, great, fantastic. If it means getting involved in your city and joining the water board, or sitting in on some of the water board meetings and finding out what's going on with the water in your community. How much corruption's in your town, but get involved, because this is water is our future, and we have big things coming up with water, and we're tough. Every one of us out there, we are tough. We just forget. We get a little bit complacent, and then we get a little bit depressed because we feel helpless, that we can't do anything. And I tell you, one of the biggest things each one of us has is our energy, and where we're putting our energy, where we're putting our thoughts. What are you doing with your thoughts every day? Are you thinking about, well, this is all going to hell in a handbasket and that's about it, and it wraps it up and I'm depressed? No. Think about how you have faith, that you have hope and you have faith and believe in a higher power and a higher consciousness, creator, whatever it is that you believe in, that you are willing to connect with that energy and bring that earth energy up through your feet, and it ignites at your heart. And suddenly, look, your hands are moving. You're typing a letter to the president. Okay, cool. Now you're getting online and you're looking up Greenpeace because you're going to donate $10 so that you're at least contributing something on that front. I mean, whatever it is, we have got to get back to having some faith that we are already connected.
I think that's a great idea. I agree. I'm raising my hand. Yes, pick me, take me.
I pick you.
I'm good. I agree with you there, and I also understand that what you're dealing with, as far as when you are working with people, I imagine that you also assist people to sort of let go of their own belief system that's holding them back, the one that doesn't have faith, the one that doesn't have hope. I think you're absolutely hit the nail on the head with faith and hope. I think a lot of people have become hopeless. They feel that there is no hope, that it's out of time. And, you're there to tell us that, of course not. Of course, we're not out of time. And there are simple measures in which we can provide to connect, really connect and cooperate with one another.
Exactly. And Roxy, really the honest to God's truth, if we are focused in this moment, that's all there is. This moment is all there is. We're not thinking about the future. We're not thinking about the past. We're in this moment. And so this moment is what we're creating. And I choose in this moment to see my future and the future of this planet healthy, resolved, and in peace. And so from that thought form, I give that thought form to everyone who's listening and say, in this moment, let's just simply see it that way. And that if enough of us really, get engaged on that level, and what re-engages us is fear. And so how can we responsibly broach the subjects that we need to broach without going into fear, without being terrified that something is going to happen to us and God only knows what, and then I can go into the whole subject of our attachment that we have to our bodies. I mean, this body that you have and that I have is a rental car. Remember?
And we're top of the second hour with our guest, Sonja Grace. And I just want to make a mention that this is Revolution Radio, of course. And you can reach us through freedomslips.com and join the chat room. If you're a listener right now or you're listening from thetruthand.com, hop over to freedomslips.com and join the chat room and see what everybody's talking about or listening to. We are a donor-based radio station. In other words, it's donors like you and supporters like you who help us to stay on the air 24/7. So if you are inclined and you'd like to see my show on Tuesdays and soon to be on Fridays as well, stay on the air, please go ahead and check in at the freedomslips.com and just hit the donate button and, throw some money in the hat. Thanks. And we really do appreciate all of you listeners and donations that happen, when we need them. So thanks a lot. Sonja, we have a caller, and that just came up really quickly. So I'd like to welcome the caller onto the air. Welcome, caller. What's your name?
Is that me?
That is you.
Okay, this is Nora from Utah.
Hi, Nora. How are you, sweetheart?
Pretty good. How are you? I just
I'm
love
good.
your show.
Oh.
You have amazing guests.
Oh,
Hi,
yes.
Nora.
We certainly do. Did you have, Nora, I haven't heard from you in a while, Nora. Where have you been? Have you been listening to the show and just not calling in?
Yeah, I listen regularly, but I don't always call in.
Well, it's really good to hear your voice. Sonja, this is Nora, a longtime listener. And Nora, do you have a question for Sonja Grace?
Well, she seems to know the turmoil in people's lives, and I'm going through the worst turmoil of my life, and I just wondered if she can see anything there or help out there or whatever.
Well, Nora, the one thing I will say about your turmoil, and this is something my guides are saying to you, is that this is going to change, and it looks like around maybe the end of May, mid-May or the end of May, you're going to have something fairly significant shift that will give you more room, more ability to get back on track. Are you having some health issues?
Yes, a lot.
Yeah. They're saying that this is something that really needs, your attention, which I know you have on it, but they're talking about, possibly my being able to do some work on you. So if there's a chance that you can maybe call me after the show or something that we can connect, then I can possibly help you with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a number?
Sure. My office number, everybody get a pen, is 503-746-6525. That's 503-746-6525. Okay?
Got it. Yeah.
Okay, Nora, I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, Sonja. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. I hope you can help Nora. She's a wonderful person. Can we segue a bit and
Yes.
talk about one of your favorite subjects, which is Higgs?
Please.
Yeah, Higgs. Let's talk about
Higgs.
that.
Well, everybody knows that on the border of Switzerland, is it Switzerland and Italy? I think it is. They built the Large Hadron Collider. And this is that big underground 17-mile long chamber that they built to run their experiments in and discover the particle that they call Higgs, which they call it the God particle. And this is such for science, this is such a huge thing. And I applaud the scientists who have gone to all of the great lengths that they've gone to discover what is their truth and what is important to them. But my guides have said to me very clearly, this is disrupting the core of the earth, that there is so much energy that is moving through this collider, this big tunnel that they've built. And what I learned recently is that they basically were not up to speed at the beginning when they started doing their testing, and they had some problems where they ended up only running at half speed, and they were still able to discover the Higgs, but they are now shut down and they will not be running these experiments again until 2015. The interesting part of this is that my guides have said that these tests that they're running over there are connected to the sinkholes that are happening around the world. And that another friend of mine who's a scientist has pretty much said That's what the scientists are saying. So, it's always great for me when my guides have said what the scientists are saying, because, it's like, yeah, this is really, really dangerous for the Earth that these tests are going on. And I'm sure there's a whole group of 300 scientists that are going to tell me I'm crazy and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm telling you this, when my guides say that this is really disrupting the planet, I'm going to go with my guides, because you cannot run that kind of energy, that powerful energy, underground and not expect it to have some kind of influence on this planet. You just can't. We're not meant to do that kind of thing to the Earth. It would be as if someone planted 17 miles of tunnel through your body and said, yeah, let's do some really heavy duty testing. It wouldn't feel good. I can guarantee it.
So when you say that they're responsible for the sinkholes, which are happening all over the Earth, and they're not small, people. These are huge. Some of these are miles wide. They're happening in our own country. The biggest ones right now that are getting the most attention, but really not a whole lot of mainstream, is Florida and New Orleans. And I actually have an investigator out in New Orleans that works with the Truth Tonight, and I'm trying to get them to go out and see if they can get more information closest to the sinkhole there, because it's growing. So with that in mind, this machine, this tunnel that they built, is somehow throwing off the Earth's magnetic field, would you say?
Well, yeah, but from what my guides were saying, that it was actually affecting the magnetic field, and it was affecting the core, the planet's core. And the other thing that I wanted to share on that note is, when this broke down, it was because the connections between the superconducting magnets could not take the currents that were running through them. Okay, so now they've mentioned magnets and they're mentioning currents, and, my mind's going, wow, okay, so this is really going to affect the electromagnetic field, as well as, the at least on a surface level, the planet, but I think even deeper than that. And I do believe that we're really, this goes back to what I was saying. Do you guys remember the movie Contact? And, Jodie Foster is the scientist, and what's his name is the preacher guy. Do you remember that movie?
Yes, it was fabulous.
It was fabulous. And she represents the science aspect. I've got to discover this. I've got to learn this. And he represents the spiritual aspect. Well, if you believed in God, maybe this would be a different way for you to get there. And what my guide said to me today, it was like such a contact moment. My guide said, if the scientists would trust the God particle within them, if they would trust that there's already beings and information on this planet that could help them derive at this without having to run a test like this, it could jeopardize the whole planet. And I don't know if the listeners know, but one of the really big worries that many scientists have had about them looking for the Higgs boson is that it could create a black hole with the Earth, and the Earth would simply envelop itself and we'd be gone. And so there was a lot of criticism from the scientific community that this group of 300 scientists had said, yes, we're going to do this and we have to do this. And the thing that bothered me is that when this broke down and they only ran the tests at half speed and they were still able to discover the Higgs, they also said that they did not want to let their funders down. And see, that bothers me. That's like messing with the planet, because we have a group of funders with, the big bucks behind the project saying, well, we're waiting for you to discover the God particle here. Oh, at the risk of the planet. Okay. And this is where I feel like we all can make a difference in, first of all, as you do so well, Roxy, on your show, educating people understanding that there's more of a story here than maybe what they read in their local newspaper, and being able to get involved in ways that perhaps they're writing letters, or they're communicating with, the people that would have some effect on weighing in as to whether this continues or not. It will not continue until 2015. So I figure that gives all of us a running start.
Right. And yeah, that's interesting because I wouldn't even know where to write. I'd have to actually sort of look that up and maybe put an article out on it if somebody opposed it. And just briefly, this God particle that they discovered, what is it? What is the God particle? I mean, yeah. I've read a lot and heard a lot of different variations of what this. I mean, scientists are already having a heyday over exactly what it means.
Yeah, yeah. There is the scientific explanation of the Higgs, and then they say that there are more than one boson, and this is all physics and science. I am here as a spiritualist to explain. And so I don't want to get into the explanation of that because I don't want to botch it up. I want a scientist to really weigh in on what all of that is. I'm here to simply say my guides have said repeatedly, this is very dangerous for the planet. And once again, everybody, all your listeners out there know there are numerous things that are dangerous for this planet. We can take all of the nuclear power plants to start with. Then we can talk about, all of the different, electrical things from cell towers to, electrical lines that are up that are dangerous for all of us. I mean, we can go on and on about what's dangerous, but the fact that this results in potentially creating sinkholes or these mini black holes around the planet, I think it kind of gets a gold star in the danger department.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah.
Well, and, I do promise there's a couple of questions from the chat. So I will put out an article and I'll do the research on who we should write to ask them or get them to stop using this giant machine that they're going to be putting back into service in 2015. So that's the best I can do. I'm making a note of doing that right now, and I will definitely get that out to the public. Now, as far as healing the earth goes, you're a big proponent of that. That's what you do. That's what you wake up every day to do, Sonja. Anyone that knows your work knows that that's what you do. How does one begin to become have the mindset, let's say, of making it their number one priority to assist in healing the planet?
Well, I am a big believer in that the most powerful thing that we can experience and that we are here to experience and that we are here to bring into these bodies and, love at the deepest level of our being is love. We have the ability with our hearts, that's that cool, energetic fusion between creator energy, God particle energy comes down through the top of your head and the goddess from the earth up through the bottom of your feet, ignites at your heart. It's love. Love is the most powerful thing. And in any reading that I have done, for over 30 years with people coming to me from the spirit realm and talking to me, the one thing that they have all said to me time and time again is, you guys can't even imagine how intense the love is that we are immersed in. Everyone on the other side in the spirit realm has said it is so profound, we can barely fathom it here on earth. And I believe we can barely fathom it because we have allowed ourselves to sort of get away from that through, again, all of the different things that we have to contend with, our cultures and our religions and our separation, us and them. And we get so separated out that we forget that, yes, we love our families, we love our children, we love fiercely within those pods of people, but we have forgotten how to love globally. We've forgotten how to love the people who are really suffering in Syria and Pakistan and Africa. My goodness, just to love those people in your mind, to love them as much as you love your kids or your mom or your dad. It's so powerful, you guys. It is just one of the most powerful things you can do. And you can take that love and you can shine it down into the earth, and you can love her. You can see your love. If you're a real visual person, see it just going into all of the cracks and crevices and into the rivers and all the way through the planet. And I'm telling you, it is the most powerful element that we have.
Do you think that there are different levels of love, just like there are different levels of truth?
I believe that there is one giant blasting force of love, and it's our layers and our like what I described about truth. It's all the layers and ego and personality and all the stuff that's got like encompassing, surrounding us, that is keeping us from connecting fully with our ability to love. And like I said earlier, people love. I mean, I know all of your listeners, everybody loves, their kids and their parents and their dogs and their cats or whoever's immediate in their life. But it's not a regular practice that we sit down and we send love to people that we may not agree with. We may not agree with their politics. We may not agree with how they're handling something in their country. But I tell you what, boy, it is the way, in my opinion, to disarm what's going on around the world. And by the way, that brings up, Roxy, I wanted to talk about this as well. North Korea is a really big, like 5-alarm fire that's going on for a lot of people. And we're all watching the news and going, okay, what's going to happen? And I mentioned to the listeners that I clear entities and aliens and all kinds of stuff out of people. I'm like a priest disguised as a woman in the 21st century. And I clear all this stuff. And I went in today into meditation and I said, I don't want to worry about this North Korea thing. So I'm going to clear North Korea. And I tell you, there was a layer. It was like a giant black layer, like a piece of tar over top of North Korea. And I was able to just lift that off, and it dissolved up into the light, and all of these, really creepy kind of entity beings came out of underneath it. It was like the whole place was filled with these entities, and I cleared all of them up. They all dissolve into the light. I don't stop clearing things until I've completely cleared. And I brought all of this, healing, stuff down into North Korea and just really asked, all of the powers that be, Creator and the Goddess, to really help those people, to help them remember their own hearts and their own ability to love, and that we are not their enemies. And, all I can say to the listeners is we all can maybe hold that in our hearts, sending that message back, because this is no time for that kind of action, right? I'm sure everybody agrees. We don't need to engage in some kind of nuclear war right now.
Right. There's another question, kind of like what you're talking about right now. How do you do the work and see the interconnection while seeing more and more trees dying every day? How do you not look, and if the forest is conscious, and I believe it is, does it not deserve a witness? And that's from Izzy.
Well, sure, Izzy, of course, everything. I mean, everything deserves that. It's like I'm sending my energy and my love into the earth, but it's not without I don't have blinders on. I do see that these trees need help, and how many squid that were found dead on the beach in California, or the, massive amount of, dolphins that were found washed. I mean, there's so many things that are being affected on the planet right now. And I keep telling people, we all watch these huge groups of animals die off, and then we go, oh, that's really awful. And yet we don't seem to connect the dots in our minds that could be humanity. We could all be on the shore. And that's why I feel the earth and all of the messages from the trees dying to, a large group of animals found on the beach is the earth's message like, hello, you guys need to get it. This is getting more critical. And yes, it's not like I have all of these avenues myself where I am to just jump on some bandwagon and say, okay, let me go, save the trees, save the whales, save the dolphins, save everything. All I can do is be effective with my energy, be effective with where my intention is of what I'm doing, and my prayer, my commitment to the planet, and being able to at least work from that place. And I hope that helps you, Izzy. I hope that you understand that those trees that are dying off certainly need all of us to be aware and to help in whatever ways that we can, like any group of species.
Absolutely. And, here's the other aspect of this. I think that when, you, Sonja, encounter people with bringing up this love, this grand love, I think what you probably experience, I know I do, people defend the right to be angry at other people. And so I know that you probably encounter that when you are working with others as well. What is one of the methods that you can do to approach somebody to encourage them to let that go, to let their anger go, to let that wall of defense go, to let that hate go?
Well, that's a great question. I think we have to really take a look at the fact that we as a human race have endured centuries of a fairly violent experience. We've all been in lifetimes where we've been in wars and we've died at the hands of others. We've maybe killed other people. We've all had this violence through our lifetimes because this planet Earth is in the second realm, which is a very turbulent, violent, ever-changing environment. And so humanity's affected by that. And we choose in consciousness, because we have that ability to be in that vibration or to move into a bit of a higher vibration, like the third realm, where maybe now we're a little bit more connected and we're more connected to other people, and the spirit realm, and we're a little bit more easygoing about how we're going to experience something because it's a higher vibration. And so, yeah, people get angry and people get upset about what's happening, and yet.
And welcome back. Again, if you have any questions for Sonja Grace, please feel free to call us at 347-688-2902. And we were just speaking about the different ways in which Sonja approaches, healing others, healing her clients, or assisting them with their own healings to get them back in a state of love and out of the state of remorse, anger, hate, etc. Sonja, what is the fifth dimension? Are we literally moving into another dimension on this planet?
Yes, we in my experience, we have. December 21st, winter solstice, marked the actual shift, and I feel quite strongly, and my guides have said over and over, we're in the fifth dimension now. And people may notice that what they responded to, what they had reactions to back last year, 10 years ago, whatever, that it's different now. The way that they worked when they were in the fourth dimension is very different to how work seems now. And the one thing that people can identify with, I'm sure, is how much time and space is shifting. We're all experiencing like these weird time warpy things that happen where, we have a 10 o'clock meeting and we have 15 minutes to get to our appointment and we get there in 5. Or, somehow we leave at 10, we're supposed to be there at 10 and we still get there at 10. Numerous people tell me that they look at the clock and it's 11:11, it's 1:11, it's 2:22, it's 4:44. People are experiencing really major awareness time space shifts that have that are a part of this fifth dimension. It's very much a part of the transformation that we're going through. And I tell people constantly, the key to this fifth dimension is meditation. Hands down, that's where it's at, because the vibration is so high, it becomes difficult just to be in sort of that normal fourth dimensional, yeah, we're going to go here and we're going to get this and we're going to do that. And it's like people get tired, they run out of steam, they're just completely overtaxing themselves, and they don't understand why. They don't get it because they don't understand that this fifth dimensional energy is really like, it's what's happening. It's prominent. And we either choose to walk a more spiritual path and apply our spirituality to everything that we do with the intent of raising our vibration. And again, we raise our vibration through meditation, through, listening to your favorite music, exercise, yoga, all of those things will raise your vibration. That helps us to be in this fifth dimension a lot better than, resisting and maybe having some difficulty. There's a lot of resistance. People are really like banging their heads against the wall. I don't understand, why won't this work? And it's because they're still trying to do it in the old way. You have to find new ways and new approaches to things.
And, with the time and space factor, is in the fifth dimension, is time and space changing? I mean, for a lot of people, it's like the cosmic time vacuum cleaner came and vacuumed up all time, because most people are complaining about they have run out of time. Like they don't never have enough time in the day. And of course, on a global level, people are thinking we have run out of time on the planet, that we haven't cleaned up our act here. And so we're just going to get, a polar shift and then we'll be all tossed off and have to start all over again. So is time and space directly, is it that because you explained it so well, is it shifted within a fifth dimensional operation pattern now that no longer is what it was at all 2 years ago, whether people recognize it or not?
Roxy, you know what it's like when you go to the optometrist and you get yourself in front of that machine and they flip the dials in front of you and they say 1 or 2, and you're getting your eyes tested, for where your vision's at. It's like that. It's like time and space exist. They are. But we move into a different experience of it. The fifth dimension, time and space, is different. It's got a different energy to it. And the part that's hard for people is that get into this space where we're trying to look at everything as being as real and as concrete as the chair or the television or the desk in front of you. And it's not. The whole universe, the future is in a liquid state. Everything is in motion. Everything is moving. And all of these different dimensions and realms and sectors and all of this, the grid that we're in is movable. It's in motion. And our energy, again, is sort of like the steering wheel of the car. Our energy's going out there and we're going, oh yeah, I really want to manifest love. And so we're shining that light of love out there and we start manifesting love. We start finding love. Love's coming to us from all different directions. That's the how things ignite. That's that energy that we're actually creating what it is we're sending out there. We're creating it. We are all as a human race creating this consciousness, this experience that we're having on Earth. And no matter what happens, you guys, no matter how it turns out, no matter whose prophecies end up happening or not happening, or, whatever, it's if we have faith and we trust that it's perfect, we will find that place where we can drop into a deeper state of peace and understand what we have created, be effective in it, because now we're directing our energy in a different way. We're grounding ourselves, we're grounding our energy, and we're going into sort of a deeper place of consciousness to handle some of these things that we've been talking about. And sure, that doesn't mean that we aren't going to have our emotional body come up. We're going to get angry. We're going to be upset. We're going to go, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. That's the duality. We're going to experience it. But the real, the real homework, the hard part, but the challenging good part is that we learn to step back and simply observe what's going on and how can I be most effective. You guys all know what it's like when you walk up to a couple of people and they're having an argument. It's very uncomfortable. It's like, oh my God, they're arguing. I don't want to be a part of this, and the person pulls back and then, and they either disengage and walk away or they become the mediator. Well, John, what I hear you really saying is blah, blah, blah. And Karen, you sound like you're really angry. And, it's like people will take whatever stand they need to take. And everybody's doing the best that they can do. And I mean that. I mean that to everybody who listens to your show. You guys are all doing a great job at being engaged in a higher truth because you're listening to Roxy's show and you're listening to something that is giving you the ability to think for yourselves and to think about all of these things that are going on the planet from a different perspective. We're no longer just, getting spoon-fed and saying, oh, okay, the sky was purple today and the mountains are orange. Oh, right, I believe that. We're not doing that anymore. And the stuff about UFOs and aliens and chemtrails and, death camps and all of these things, there are truths to all of these things. We all know that. There are truths and there are different states of awareness and reality to all of these things. And what I love about your listeners, Roxy, is that they're all, to me, a community of people that are committed to a higher level of truth. And I say, fantastic, more power to all of you. And that I hope that this awareness that you all have can be channeled through that incredible power that your heart has, and that you guys all stay in your hearts as you pursue these different, topics and avenues of change on the planet. That's our best power. Mm-hmm.
And thank you for all of the insight and love that you pass on to all of us. So we all here appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit about some of the workshops you have coming up. Can we start with, let's see, Saturday, April 6th? Mm-hmm. That's the Future workshop.
Pardon? The Future You
mm-hmm. workshop.
Yeah.
At Joshua Tree. What's that going to be like?
Joshua Tree Retreat is, down in Southern California, right outside of Palm Springs, and it's a beautiful retreat. I usually teach there twice a year, and this workshop, The Future You, is all about helping people come into an awareness, a process that is bringing awareness of what their original consciousness really is. And through a full day with me of kind of peeling off the layers of all of the things that hold us back from that original consciousness, and we go into a lot of meditation and processing, we get down to what that soul body really holds and what is going on for us at that level. It's a wonderful workshop, and it's very powerful. And I have actually several people taking it again because they just didn't get enough the first time around. And it's there's still time to get into this workshop. If people want to get signed up, it's on my website.
And that's sonjagrace.com, and we'll have that information after the show and forever and ever more linked up at thetruthandI.com as well. So no worries about that, people. We'll always be able to get you in touch with Sonja and her work. Now, the White Light Express Conference in Port mm-hmm. Townsend, Washington. What's mm-hmm. that like? And by the way, I love Port Townsend.
Oh,
fabulous life.
it's wonderful. Sarah Nash is the the founder of the White Light Express, and Avis Latone, and they put on this wonderful conference, and I will be teaching the Future You workshop up there on Saturday, August 17th. I'm the keynote speaker of the conference. Sarah will also be teaching a workshop, and her husband Peter will be teaching a workshop, and George Noory of From Coast to Coast is going to be speaking at this conference as well. So it's going to be really a action-packed weekend. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, it's the 16th, 17th, and 18th, correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So all of you out there in Washington, and all my pals that listen to the show out in Washington, you got to get out there, because it sounds like another kind of retreat kind of weekend anyway when you go out to Port Townsend.
Oh,
and yeah, and then of course you'll be doing your workshop again, and all of this information, again, is on Sonja's website, which is sonjagrace.com. And she's also linked up at the truthtonight.com. So anything else that you've got going on like that isn't enough? Any new books, any new movies?
Well, the one thing that's coming up, and it'll come up faster because we just talked about the time-space continuum changing. I'm doing a 3-day healing meditation retreat at Joshua Tree Retreat. And that's again in Southern California. And I would just love to have people sign up for that, because that's 3 days of really deep meditation practice and a lot of healing work going on during that weekend. And it's going to be fabulous. I teach a yoga class in the morning, and we have, on-site cooks, and we've got access to this great pool and jacuzzi. So it's going to be really fun. So if you can't make it to this Saturday, April 6th, then plan on coming to either at Port Townsend or back down to Southern California.
Well, that does sound like a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, you should come, Roxy.
I've been thinking it the whole time you've been saying it. I may have to pop in one of these, because it sounds fabulous.
Yeah.
I could certainly use this right now. Turn off the phone computers, and are you kidding?
Absolutely.
Fabulous. Yeah. So, and thanks for offering that to the public as well. So in winding up the show here, what would be the most important thing? I know that you've gone through quite a few things with us, and love, and teaching love, feeling love, and healing with love for basically the whole planet. What is your biggest inspiration? And it doesn't have to be a lifetime achievement award or anything like that for yourself, but but it can be if you want. Sky's the limit, or not. But what let's say for this year, what would be, or your latest goal? What is one of the most important things for you right now?
The latest quote that I put up on a couple of different social media sites is: understanding the complexity of energy that defines our universe requires accepting the unseen. And I feel this is such an important statement to be made for all of the people who experience, anything from close encounters with other life forms to, grandpa rooting around in the back room and the lights flickering, that everyone understand that these are experiences of the unseen, and the unseen, that energy that exists all around the world and throughout the galaxy is the it's the glue, it's the particle that I feel, scientists maybe are looking in the wrong place for. This is the part that all of us, with our intuitions and with our highly sensitive experiences in life, have something happen that leaves us believing that there's more than just the desk in front of me, or, that job I have to go to today, or my car being broken down. There's more. And that's what I talked about earlier, is really having faith that, there's people like me in the world who hear you and really acknowledge that you guys are all really sensitive, and that it's important that we remember the unseen is very real. And
absolutely.
That's my goal, Roxy, is just be really, helping people and empowering people to understand their own sensitivity. And sure, not everybody has my abilities or is going to see it as clearly or experience it like I do, but everybody has sensitivity and everyone has an intuition and an inner compass. And my goal, my desire is to really empower people to trust that and to know that that inner part of them is navigating their path.
Now, when you encounter individuals, when they contact you, and without breaking any anonymity here, are most people in a state of confusion, or is it just a variety of different feelings and emotions that somebody can have or problems that they could have? Or do you find that there is one thing that's sort of related to a lot of the people that you have as clients, that there's one sort of focus that if you heal that, the rest will sort of fall into place?
Well, yes and yes. I mean, people call me for lots of different reasons. I've worked on more people with cancer in the last month than I have in years. I mean, it seems to me, at least in my experience, cancer is at an all-time high and it's epidemic. And I have a lot of people who are calling me not only for healing work, but to do the inner processing healing work, to do, the work that excavates the emotional, energetic components that have been stored in their body because they didn't deal with it when it happened. They didn't deal with the emotional wounding it too. So I do a lot of that work where I'm helping people really excavate that energy out of their body so that they can heal whatever it is, the illness or the back pain or the, whatever's going on for them. I have some people who call me up and they just want to, have basically a conversation with my guides and ask questions. I have CEOs of large companies that call me and they just want to ask me business questions. I have people who call me and they just want to talk to their beloved, husband, wife, mom, dad, grandmother on the other side and have some kind of healing or resolution between them. So there's lots of reasons why a person would call me, and I have a really a much easier flow with people when they identify for me. Sonja, I'm calling because I need you to look at my dog, Patty, or I'm calling because I would like you to do some healing work on me. I'm having some issues. The people who are not trusting or who want to test me in some way really aren't trusting themselves, and they're really not trusting their own internal intuitive process. And it's like there's no time for that now. It's like we're in this fifth dimension. We really got to get on things. Time and space is sped up, and we got a planet that's basically a 5-alarm fire, and we got to get on things. So I tell people all the time, go in and do the work, do the internal work. Get at those emotional woundings and clean house, because the higher vibration that you have spiritually, the more attuned you're going to be to this fifth dimension and the more help you're going to be to the planet. You're not driving your car angry and upset and, emotionally off balance. You're finding that balance within you. You're getting really grounded, you're getting balanced, and then you're able to aid the planet.
I would imagine, Sonja, that this is a really tough gig for those who haven't done the work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It would be hardest. I would say it would be hardest for those, a tough gig. Mm-hmm. And those who have are probably, like you said, those who can call and identify already of what they need, then it's much easier for you to provide that for them, which I could see, maybe they just have a little blind spot and they just need to tune into it, and you're very capable of doing that, which is just awesome. And like I said, people, even with Sonja, calling me, a few days ago, and a couple weeks ago, I think it was, I was just amazed, Sonja, because, you dispelled everything out, and then it all came came to pass. Because when you said it to me, I thought, okay, that's kind of weird. And, I mean, I said that like, really, but then all of a sudden there it was all exposed. And, I'm a journalist, and this is what I do 24/7. I can see what's coming based on, and I didn't see that coming, what you had exposed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I find myself pretty intuitive myself. So, the work that you do is absolutely necessary, and I really thank you, and all of us thank you for the work that you provide the planet. I'm glad that you're around, and all I can say is that if you and a couple of your peeps ever do decide to pack it up and start doing the march across the country, be sure to let me in on that one, because that sounds like a lot of fun.
You're going with me.
Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, I know. I could see this. And then we're going to do radio shows from the road. I just can see it already.
That'd be great.
But on that note, you're not the only person who's talking like this, Sonja.
I know.
Many of my guests, many of those who are very, very elevated right now, very awake, very in tune with the fifth, very dialed in, if you will.
Right.
They're thinking of the same thing. They're like, I'm ready to just throw down and start walking across the country. So it is interesting that you said that as well. You and a few others. It's very interesting that they're feeling a necessity to do this. But as far as getting a hold of Sonja, you want to go to www.sonja, spelled SONJA, Grace. .com, SonjaGrace.com. She's also linked up at thetruthDenied.com. We will have an archive of the show as usual, and an article with all of her updates for what's coming up. Sonja, it's been absolute pleasure having you on the show. I don't know how to thank you enough.
Thank you, Roxy. It's been wonderful to be here. Thank you so much.
I've done extensive research on the subject myself. There is so much information that you need to know. So that's for it for now. I don't think you can keep this all in your head. If you really need to take a look at the upcoming guests, just go to thetruthDenied.com and hit the schedule page. And all of our guests' information and links to their websites and photos of them and their work is all located on the schedule page. So go take a look at that and bookmark a couple of them if you are really interested in the show. Now, with all of that in mind, I want to give you all a little bit of background on the story that we're going to be discussing tonight with Sonja Grace. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about Sonja. Sonja is internationally renowned author and mystic healer, people. She is known all over the world, and she's been offering her clients immediate stability. And what does that mean? It means when you have an issue and you call Sonja or you get in touch with her, she immediately stabilizes the situation for you and helps you, aids you, assists you in getting your balance back and whatever else you need. This is fabulous. It's fantastic work that she does. So immediate stability, clarity, and guidance that she has been offering people for over 30 years. She really knows what she's doing. One of the few that I trust, and I can say that. I've met many psychics, many mystics, many healers, and she is far, a handful. She's one of the handful that I've come across in my life that is the real deal. So Sonja has a wide variety of talent as well. She to choose from, in which she accesses her ability to channel and communicate with the divine. She sees and receives messages from loved ones who have crossed over and offers a venue for healing in this world and the spirit world. Sonja works in the healing realm, helping clients to identify where the discomfort is in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual body. And that's important stuff. She provides medical scans and defies time and space with her cellular healing work. Okay? Sonja's able to execute all levels of her work from a distance and over the phone. So she's a long distance healer, and that's amazing for those of you who do not live anywhere near Sonja Grace. That's something that you should all think about. Sonja is able to execute all levels all levels of her work via phone. Okay. Her ability to read and clear the karmic threads to now, with the mortality rate of 2 to 4% up to 300,000 carcasses need to be disposed of each year. Okay. And now we've got these pigs floating in the main river, in Huangpu River, which is the drinking water for millions of people. So you see, every government seems to be so much alike. The denial. While farmers are required by law to send animals that die of disease or natural causes to processing pits, black market dealers intercept the chain, butchering the hogs to sell as pork. Last November, a Jiaxing court sentenced 3 such butchers to life in prison. The offenders had processed 77,000 carcasses, making almost $9 million profit. But the point I'm trying to make is that this story has become so incredibly convoluted already, because you've got the black market guys that are selling pork that is sick to the public and to the butchers, and you've got, as they say, 300 carcasses that need to be disposed of yearly, and then you have this other 16,000 pigs that are floating in the water. By the way, that number is going up every day. And you have those who are in charge in the city going and picking up the carcasses, but then you have the black market people picking up the carcasses that are floating dead for days in these rivers. It's unbelievable. Sonja, what's going on over there? What's the real deal?
Well, first I really would like to say, Roxy, that I so appreciated the opportunity to come on and talk about this with you, and for you having me on your show the first time back in January. And, a really big shout out to all the people in Canada who have called me, and all of the people that have called me from your show from around the world. It seems like there were a lot of people who called me from Canada, so I'm saying a special hello to them. And I really would love to preface to everyone that, as a mystic healer, I work with guides. My guides are high angelic beings that I communicate with, and I really do consider the communication that I receive from divine. I mean, I work only with angels and with Creator, what I call God, the goddess. That's what I work with. So that's where my information's coming from. And when I asked my guides what is going on with all the pigs in China, the first word I heard was genocide. And then I freaked out and I called Roxy. So,
and then I freaked out. That are going to be coming up in the next couple of months. We're just booked solid. And, I'll give you a couple of guests that are going to be coming up on next Tuesday. We're going to have Sean Gautreaux and Jim Kerr. They're going to be talking about the cloaked crafts in our skies. Both of them are researchers, have a lot of footage. And when we speak of cloaked crafts, we don't just mean ETs. I mean, these guys have really done their homework in relationship to HAARP, chemtrails, and, of course, objects that are being tested right above us day in and day out. So they'll be coming on the 9th, which is next Tuesday. And then, of course, for the debut on the 12th, we're going to be welcoming Mr. Paul Mack, and he's from Australia, another chemtrail activist with extremely important evidence, and it really has a good take on it and what they are doing to inspire awareness in Australia. So he'll be joining us on the 12th. And then on the 16th, we have Brad Olson, who's going to be new to the show. By the way, so is Paul Mack and so is Jim Kerr. And he's going to be discussing, Brad Olson will be discussing the New World Order and the future esoteric. The following week, we will welcome back George McClure. He has a lot of information for us, again, on New World Order and a lot of exposure. He's a very well-read author as well. And so we're going to really welcome George back. I was so grateful that he actually had the time to book the show a month ago. On the 30th, we're going to bring back James Gilliland from ESETI. He came on the show last time, And we had some technical difficulties, and we also had Wilbur Allen on the show as well, talking about the UFOs and the archons. And James just really didn't get to finish what he needed to tell the public and share with all of you. So we have invited him back. We booked the show that night and just moved everyone over for James. So he'll be back for the whole 2 hours, and he'll be answering all of your questions. On the 19th, we have a special show with Dr. Will Spencer. We're going to be talking about dentistry. Did you know that over 85% of the people in our country have periodontal disease? And, you know, this is something that is really a shameful thing to talk about. Don't talk about it amongst themselves. You won't see people talking about it on Facebook. You won't see people going to the dentist to do something about it because of the expense. And we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about an alternative way to deal with, get this, even loose and falling teeth that are ready to fall out. We are going to speak with Will Spencer. We're going to cover the gamut.
Revolution Radio proudly presents live from Phoenix, Arizona, the Truth Denied Talk Radio with host Roxy Lopez. Join us here for topics you won't hear about on mainstream news, such as chemtrails, GMOs, nutrition, and conspiracy facts regarding your personal sovereignty. Humanity is 7 billion strong. We are the majority. And now, live from the Valley of the Sun, your host, Roxy Lopez.
And I wish you a very good evening. Thanks for joining us. Today is Tuesday, April 2nd, and welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us in the chat room. And please be sure to ask your questions of our guest today. She'll be spending 2 hours with us going over quite a few topics. One that I will bring up and give you a little bit of the background on the story so that you'll know what she's talking about when she explains more of the story for all of you. And, of course, you all know that our guest is Sonja Grace, and I'll give you a little bit of background for any newcomer tonight that is not unfamiliar. We're bringing Sonja back this evening. She was on the show about a month and a half ago because there's some very important new insight that she has on quite a few world events and really needed to bring it forward. I must say Sonja is amazing because she called me to talk about one of the events that we're going to be discussing this evening, and she already knew what was going on long before the news reported it, and that just blew my mind. So she's going to be sharing a lot this evening, so kick back, grab your cup of tea, and maybe even a notebook if you could, and get to know Sonja tonight. Before we get started with the show, and before I invite her onto the show, I wanted to let you all know a wonderful news that's happening. Revolution Radio has asked me to now join the team on Friday nights as a host. So April 12th will be my debut night. That's a Friday evening in the same prime time slot, 8 to 10, same as now. And so we will now be on the air twice a week. So thank you very much, Hawk, for offering this to us. And we're glad to oblige. We have Past Lives helps clients heal lifetimes of patterns. And as you all know, we all get stuck in patterns. I do, you do, even Sonja does. But what do we do about it? We identify those patterns and clear them. And those are just roads to freedom, in my opinion. Two-time author of Angels in the 21st Century and her latest book, Earthways Healing Medicine for the Soul, provides a pathway to the 4 seasons through prayer and ceremony, and is companion to the film presentation Earthways series. She is linked up on thetruthDenied.com, or if you're interested in seeing her right now, she is in the chat room. Her, her website's in the chat room, and that's Grace, spelled Sonja, Grace.com. And without any further ado, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. Welcome to the show, Sonja.
Thank you, Roxy. It's great to be here.
Oh, when you called me, I was just, I am amazed. I am just amazed because you started to tell me a story about what was happening, and I said, where, why, how, what, and then you basically kicked it in, just for the audience sake, if I may. What we are referring to, one of the many topics that Sonja and I are going to be discussing tonight, there's a growing concern in Shanghai due to some now 60,000 pigs that were found in the Huangpu River, which is the source of tap water for the public there. Okay, so this is really dangerous stuff. As the public's concerns about water safety are growing, what has emerged is a picture of a rural region marred by catastrophic environmental damage, inherent malpractice, and black market meat trade. The first pigs were spotted on March 7th and were soon traced to the Jiaxing through tags in their ears. Early tests show they carry porcine circovirus, a common disease among hogs, not known to be infectious to humans. Shanghai's municipal water department maintains that the water meets the national standard, but hasn't said much more. And I think, no pun intended, that that's hogwash. Yeah. And then to go on, here it is. This upsurge is one explanation for the carcasses, though officials are reluctant to say so. All right. We have 7 dead pig processing plants. Each is 100 cubic meters large and can gather thousands of dead pigs. This is a toxic environment